Welcome, everybody. Here we are for the Upward Podcast. Miguel, how you doing today?
Back. Miguel,
what do you want me to call you? I called you a bunch of things in your life.
Yeah, that's true. A bunch of different names.
Bunch of names.
I've been called that before.
You have. Is today a Craver cast?
It is today.
That's what everybody's calling it when Greg's gone.
Greg's on vacation. That's what everybody's calling him, not just us.
Is everybody? For real?
I like to tell myself that.
Well, I don't know. We'll see how the Craver cast goes.
Yeah.
Had a good week this week.
Yeah, big, full.
Man, it was. It was crowded this week.
Second service was wild.
Second service was jammed this week.
I noticed that little ending announcement you put at the end of second. Hey,
we
just
have
so you know,
three other ones you can come to if you'd like to.
That's a friendly way of saying, get out of here.
Get out of here and find another service. No, that one was unusually full. Of course, we had baptisms this week, so we had some guests with us. But
I think we had 16 total.
Yeah, we were over 1,600.
Three Thursday. It was baptisms.
Oh, baptisms. I thought it was 17, but
maybe
it's 16.
17. I think 3 Thursday, 3 first service, and then like 5 the other 2.
Yeah. Bunch
Big.
of it, and that's always a joy to see people getting baptized. You know, people are making that public profession of their faith in Christ, and that's a wonderful thing. I love that so much.
Yep.
The kids, I love the kids, and we had several adults as well, and I love them all, but man, when you get those kids and they're getting baptized, you know they've committed their life to Jesus, and their lives are going to be forever
the rest of the
changed.
Kids that come in.
I love that part.
A horde into the auditorium.
If people aren't familiar with that, we
great.
always bring our children's ministry in to see the baptisms, and they love it. Well, they will fill up one full corner of the sanctuary as kids, and they jump in worship too. What I love the most is when you can hear them worshiping, and you can hear them through the live stream sometimes. I did that once.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I was out of town, and I was watching a baptism, and I could hear the kids worshiping, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I was leading that song right after baptism.
Yeah,
you can always tell when they're in there.
Yeah,
they're either singing or there's some like dancing really close to the stage. You gotta stay focused.
They're singing and dancing.
And it's great. We love it.
The 2 boys that were dancing the most this week were staff kids.
I know exactly who they were.
We won't call any names, but 2 staff kids, boys, were cutting a rug down there this week. I noticed that.
Yeah.
Somebody
one of their moms was also up there.
Oh, wow. So Mom was up there giving him the evil eye. Was she doing that?
I don't know. I didn't see that.
I guess you encourage that. We love them too, but they were
great. Yeah.
I don't know if you call that dancing before the Lord, but they were dancing.
Maybe. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
No, it's great either way. I love seeing it. But
Yep.
Yeah, good. We were in week 2, right?
Week 2 of Formed.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's been cool so far. We hit the big verse this week of not being conformed, but being transformed.
Yep.
But you started with a great example. You had to use me in a video again. But
again, have I done that before?
You've probably showed that before. I think so. But you said, you started with it was an example, I think, on what Paul is saying here when you say not to do something.
Don't do this.
But you want to do it. So.
For sure. Yeah, it's easy to do. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you would always jump out of our hands and run to the dugout and run out in that softball field.
Yep.
And your mom told you again and again, if you go out there, you're going to get hit in the head. And you internalized that.
I did.
Spit it back out to us in that video. How many people squeezed your cheeks?
Only a couple people went as far as that, people I knew. But there were a lot of people that felt like they wanted to.
One of them was the guy over security in one of our services. He came up and squeezed your cheeks pretty good, and I like seeing
He got me good. He did.
The idea is just that Paul's telling us, hey, don't do this.
Yep.
Don't be conformed to the world. That's not the way to live your life. Mm-hmm. It's not the way to live the Christian life, but there's a pressure to do that. Yeah. And the pressure is so heavy and so high.
Yep.
And the other thing, the world has, we've given the world out there such access to us through social media.
Mm-hmm.
It's like everything going on in the culture gets to us so quickly now.
We know about everything.
It didn't used to. You know what I mean? It used to be that if you didn't watch something on television and didn't see it yourself, you might hear about it at school or at work or at church when you got out among people. It'd be like, hey, did you see this? Now everybody's seen it.
Yeah, already.
We were in the whole conversation about the Olympics, and what went on there, and I didn't share that it hadn't happened on Thursday night.
Yeah.
I think one of our broadcasts, one of the things we put live stream was a Thursday night recording, right?
Yep.
And then the other one was live. So depending, right,
No, they were both Thursday.
Both Thursday. So if you watched it online, that was actually Thursday, so you didn't hear me talk about this. Funny that that happened, Friday or so.
Yeah.
And immediately my wife, your mother, started telling me about seeing that on social media, and I didn't really look at it for a day or so, but got in there and looked at it. And that's a pretty good example, actually, of how not to conform to the world as Christians. Everybody saw that.
You're talking about with just the
our reaction
on it,
I think what I'm saying is we should be distinct from the world, but our reaction to things that are offensive also should be different from the world.
I agree.
We need to be very distinct in how we live our lives, and that comes from just following Jesus. It really does. But so that happened, and it was an offensive thing. It was, you hear people saying, well, it was about Dionysus or something like that. That was very clearly, that may have been a part of it, but that was very clearly staged to mirror the Last Supper, the Da Vinci painting, And I said this, I'm not freaking out about it, and I'm not carrying offense from it. It was offensive, but I get a choice as to whether I'm going to take offense into me. And I think it was wrong. I don't think anyone's religion should be mocked or used in a way of a parody or something. I think that's a bad move on everybody's part. But we can't act like the rest of the world when something like that happens to us. The early church faced intense persecution. They were mocked beyond that on a regular basis, and they were dragging them into coliseums eventually and murdering them, So I just think we've got to be different. We've got to be better. So you can see something and say that's wrong, and you can speak up and say people's faith shouldn't be mocked and people shouldn't be marginalized because of their religious beliefs, and you should stand up and say that, But carrying offense is a whole other thing.
It's different. That's different than internalizing it and getting all mad at the world. We talk about this a lot just with social media. There's this air of like, when you have social media, you feel like your opinion is needed, or it's pretty blunt, but or somehow people are waiting on it.
I've seen, at risk of offending somebody, I've seen people post things like, now I know y'all been waiting on what I had to say about this, and I'm like, actually, no, I wasn't.
I haven't actually. I haven't been on pins and needles.
I don't guess I didn't even react to it on social media.
No, yeah.
And I guarantee you, there's somebody out there thinking, "Oh, Pastor, he should have spoken up against this." And all. I just don't often choose to use social media for that. I have before. Yeah. Sometimes I've regretted it. Thought maybe I should have not put that on Facebook, or Instagram, whatever. But posting on social media is not really taking a stand.
No,
it's in person. It's local. It's taking a stand where it counts.
Yeah, it almost feels more like, and this isn't. Look, everybody has a right to do what they want. Well, if they want to post it or not, I'm not saying whatever. But it almost sometimes it feels to me more like you just want to be validated and let people know what side of the fence you're on, so that my friends knew. No, I'm in support or I'm not in support of this. More than like, you're actually taking a stand for your beliefs, but people have a right.
That's
to post
what they call virtue signaling?
Yeah,
I don't live in that world enough to think
Yeah.
about it, but virtue signaling is not
like I'm a good person. I don't like this. Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
I'm good because I'm against this.
I'm good because I'm for this or I'm against this.
I don't think on those things that often, but
no, and people view social media as a way to just portray that opinion of like, oh, I'm this because I support or don't support this. And again, people can post what they want. It's free world here. Do what you want.
I'm okay. I've had to become okay with people not knowing my opinions on everything.
Yeah, I think it's great.
I think I have, and I've told people before, I don't bring all my political opinions and beliefs to the pulpit.
That's right.
I do preach the word, and when the word intersects with a moral issue in the day, I'm going to stand on the side of the word fearlessly, and have. But I've told people before, you want to sit down on the table with me and talk one-on-one.
Sure, yeah.
I'll tell you what I think.
Yeah,
I'll tell you
exactly.
any of that. No, that's
no
hidden.
fear in that, but also it's not necessarily our authoritative role for you to come out and say, don't do this, or
in terms of who to vote for or something like that. Upward doesn't take, as a church, a position necessarily a political position. We certainly take a position with God's word and the church. Definitely. We may be stirring up trouble today.
No, that's all right. Well,
yeah, that's okay. It is.
That's just like we talk about here. It's when we're influenced, but we're not doing any of this for the people out. Because of the people outside, we're doing this because of a calling behind us from the Holy Spirit and from God ultimately. So. When you're transformed, you act a little different, and there's a freedom in that. There's a freedom in when you're in the right and doing things in line with the Holy Spirit that it doesn't matter what people think.
Really doesn't. The key is we don't need to be like the world, even on one side or the other. Yep. Church tends to be more conservative. Most churches do, and ours is more conservative toward that side of the political side of things, and I think most people would understand that.
Yeah.
I don't think the conservatives need to be angry in the same way the other side is. I mean, it's possible that in politics, both sides are up against each other like this. As Christians, we don't need to take the same attitudes and let the same offense into our hearts that everybody else does. We can stand for truth, but do it with a clean heart. Mm-hmm. I was having a conversation some years ago. It was with a group that was meeting here at the church to pray. And they were praying about abortion, just praying about the fight against abortion and, all this. And they asked me this question. They said, Pastor, could we just get together? There was a group who was wanting to put up a billboard that said abortion is murder, right?
Yeah.
And so they said, could we get on board with that and support that and see if we can fund that? And I said, no, I'm not going to do that. And I'm not going to support that. I can't speak for the whole church, but I'm not going to support that. And they said, why? Obviously, I believe that abortion is taking a life, obviously, and I do believe in that sense it is murder. I do. Mm-hmm. But I said this, think about the single mom out there who's gotten pregnant, and she doesn't know what to do, and she doesn't have any money, she doesn't have any support, and she's trying to figure out what to do. And if she's driving up 26 and sees a sign, abortion is murder, sponsored by Upward Christian Fellowship.
Yeah.
I just called her a murderer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If she's had an abortion and I don't even know her, and she's very unlikely to come to us for support and help. You know what I mean?
Probably. Yeah.
And I just said, that's not the message that I want to give to her.
Yeah.
So I said, why don't we do this? Why don't we take the money we would have given to that and let's invest in a local crisis pregnancy center and bless them.
Yeah.
Which we did, which opened a door for us to partner with a crisis pregnancy center and that are actually saving lives, that are actually taking these moms in and helping them save babies.
Yeah, way more efficient too.
Totally. I mean, we're actually
broadcasting.
We're actually part of the solution there, and not adding to the noise.
Yelling at the problem.
Not just adding to all the noise out there. We're actually helping to save lives.
Yeah.
And so that's how, in a sense, we don't conform to the world. In the world, there's a lot of noise. There's a lot of opinion. There's a lot of talk. In the church, we have our talk, and certainly we stand for what we believe. But we're also. It's in our feet. It's in our actions. There's actually something being done to solve this problem rather than just banging the pulpit or yelling about it.
Yeah, I think about it a lot, even like in my role, thinking about social media and things like that. There's a lot of like tips and trainings on like being viral and how to become like seen and how to tap into the right algorithms and stuff. And some of that stuff is good. I follow a lot of great people online that give tips on that. But the more I'm in it, the more I'm like, I don't care about going viral or necessarily even getting the most eyes on things. Like, you just want to make things that are good and clean of heart. You don't want to. I hate the whole aspect of like trying to trick people into watch things or some reactionary content is fun, but a lot of others of it is just like you're just trying to be the first place to break this news and be the first person to react to it and give your opinion on it, which nobody asked for. So I've tried to pull back and being like, I'm not worried about how our video scores on the YouTube algorithm. But I just want to make content that's good and clean of heart.
I guess if we did reaction videos to every news item that came up, we'd get some views.
Yeah, you would.
But you see
but that's not what it's about.
Like, no, it's not about just getting views. But you see pastors getting into that. Anytime there's a controversy, they weigh in and they want to give their reaction, and it gets a whole bunch of views. But what is actually being accomplished?
Yeah.
Am I actually encouraging people to be more like Jesus, or am I firing up something in their heart that's actually unclean?
Yeah, you're just feeding it. And what kind of audience are you building is something I think about. You're building an audience of people that just flock to the most recent controversy and get fired up about it, and then they get mad and they stay in their house and don't do anything, and then the next one comes and they get mad again. So that's a great examples of.
I've said before, you can be right and be wrong.
Yeah.
You can be on the right side of an argument, yet have the wrong heart.
Yeah.
You're just trying to win an argument, and if you beat somebody down and win an argument, you may have won the argument, but you haven't won them.
Yeah, you won the argument but lose the person.
And I'm not into that. I want to win people.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I compromise truth.
No, definitely not.
It just means I want to live out truth in a way that is winsome to people who might open their heart to it.
And there's a way to do that.
Which
is what we're talking about here. So.
Yeah.
Well, kind of a big rabbit hole, I guess. I'm trying to find.
No, I think it goes with it pretty well.
Yeah.
Be not conformed to the world is just don't succumb to the pressure around you. To be quiet, to sit back, to become passive in your world.
Yep.
And that's the world does put a pressure on us, and it's trying to shape us from the outside. The other thing I love about this passage is the direction that it's coming from. Conformity comes from the outside. Transformation comes from the inside.
Yeah.
And we're going to be talking about that this coming weekend, which I'm excited about.
The analogy you gave at the end was with the British guards.
Yeah.
Like, you made jokes like a lot of times Americans will go to Europe and try to like mess with the guards and things like that just for fun. But they don't break because you said they're working for the queen that's inside, not the crowd that's outside.
Yeah, they're working for the king, not the crowd.
Yeah, and when that happens, like when you know your source is not from the people that are trying to shape you and conform you, your source is from outside. Well, like we said, there's a freedom to that in knowing these people can't hurt me. Their opinions don't shape me. I've let go of any sort of effort to please them or to be like them. My source is from outside of here, even outside of this plane, It's from heaven on the inside of you. It's from heaven.
Inside your heart, but it's from heaven coming down to your heart. And you got to get to that point.
Yeah.
If you live your life to please the world around you, you're going to be so disappointed because you can try that. You can try to please everybody, and you absolutely will not. Mm-hmm. No matter what you do, you're going to have enemies. You're going to have critics. If you live your life for the approval and applause of other people, then you're going to be sorely disappointed.
Yeah.
But if you live for that audience of one, that's what matters.
I know Tim Keller has a good quote I've always kind of thought about. He said, like, and I'm going to not say the quote exactly right, but he's like, people need to get their identity from something else other than themselves, because we are very unreliable as people. Our hearts and our minds and our feelings are very unreliable when it comes to long-term decision making. One day you might wake up and you feel this way about something, and an hour later you'll feel different. When it comes to every subject, whatever you insert, whatever problem here, you might think this way one second, this way another. In a year, you'll think a totally different way, which he uses as an argument to say we need to get our source from something that's eternal, something that is never changing.
Absolutely.
And if it's never changing, then it's a place where we can truly rest our identity in, because we know it's consistent, we know it's there. And he makes the claim that that's God. That's where we should get, because he's the only unending, never-changing thing. And when our identity rests in him, the ebbs and flows of our emotions don't interfere with who we really are, because who we really are is based on something that's forever.
That's an important point you bring up. A lot of people talk about nonconformity, and I use the illustration of this pastor who was a hippie back in the 60s, and he said, I love that verse because I'm a nonconformist. you got to ask yourself, what's my guide here? What's going to be my source of truth here? And if it's just nonconformity for nonconformity's sake, then that becomes a problem.
Yep.
And if it's nonconformity because you've just got to be you, then where is the you coming from? What are you rooted in and grounded in outside of your daily emotional state and mental state and all that you go through? What are you grounded in? And that has to be an ultimate truth. And we believe as Christians that's found in Jesus Christ himself.
Yep.
He is truth. And so time with him is what tells you who you are.
Yeah.
So it's conforming to him. It's being transformed. And
not just conforming. That's a great point. Because some people can hear this verse and think, ultimate conformity, we're going to anarchy, overthrow the government type, crazy conspiracy theories and stuff like that.
Yes,
but it's not just about don't just bend to every norm. That's not what it's about. No. Sometimes the norm is the norm. It's not just let's just bend every rule, and but it's more about not being shaped by the world.
People think the nonconformist, you wind up seeing the nonconformists become all alike.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
And then they're conforming in a weird way.
They are conforming to the group in a way.
They're conforming to a nonconformist crowd. So it's not just about like bending against the norm.
No, it's not a rebellion.
Yes,
it's a submission to the truth, the ultimate truth, Jesus,
which
and
is
living out of that instead of the world pressing you. Yep. Well, thank y'all for being with us. We'll see y'all next time. We're going to talk about transformation next time. Thanks so much.
See you around.